Thank you guys for coming. I'm really happy that I see some familiar faces and even a couple new faces. It really means a lot to me. I've shared the past few weeks with just how much fitness has impacted my life in a positive way, and I love sharing it with other people, and this is one way I can do that. I did want to mention that starting next week, I do need to switch to Monday because my daughter's gymnastics schedule just changed. So Tuesdays aren't going to work for me, at least not in August. But then I think they're going to change again in September. So I'll let you know what my availability is in September. But hopefully Monday evening works for everybody. All right, this is just a little recap of what we talked about during the first week. And if you guys ever want to go back and watch that presentation, it's in the Facebook group, which you should have gotten an email or a text from me with the link to the Facebook group if you want to be in there. You don't have to be, but if you want to be, I am posting all of the past presentations in there. So I just shared my story that week. It was hard. I was vulnerable, shared my past and how fitness was just such a positive influence in my life and why I feel called to do this. And my vision for this group is just that we all can empower each other with faith and with fitness. So thanks for being here once again. I also talked about letting go of those negative beliefs that we have in our brains, because I know for me personally, that was something I would battle with a lot in the past and even now, just having not very good self-esteem, low confidence, and just having, I have ADHD, so I have like squirrel brain, so if I hear anything or see anything, it's hard for me to stay focused, so bear with me. Anyways, we talked about how God doesn't like that because we're all children of God, just like a lot of us in here are moms. And if we knew that our child was having negative thoughts about himself or herself, we wouldn't like that. Like that would be hurtful to us. So we just, as a group, I'm challenging us to let go of those negative beliefs that we hold. And also, like, whatever image you have in your head, like if you've seen on social media or in a magazine, we see all these images of a woman's body, and like we might have an idea of what it should look like, but we really need to let that go because God created all of us uniquely. He doesn't want us to all look the same. So I think it's best to just appreciate yourself in the present, be thankful for your body and everything that it does for you, because not everybody has that ability to move and exercise. So it really is a blessing. So try to keep that in mind. And then last week we talked a lot about nutrition was our focal point, but not so much like a diet. I wanted to focus more on how you can connect your nutrition choices, your eating choices with your faith. There's the quote that's really one of the more popular ones in the Bible about your body being a temple. And we talked about self-awareness a lot, because I know in the past I used to kind of just go around on autopilot, and it would either go one or two ways. I would mindlessly snack whatever was in front of me, like if there was chips, cookies, donuts, great, whatever, and just mindlessly eat throughout the day. Or it could go the other direction, and I would be so busy and like hyper focused on something that I would forget to eat altogether. So that's where just planning, tracking your food, things like that can really be helpful in that area. We also talked about everything in moderation and avoiding overindulgence. It's human nature to want to numb. Like if there's anything going on in your life that's stressful, it's hard. Emotional pain is hard. I compared it to physical pain. Oh, hey, glad you're back. I compared it to like if you go into surgery and the doctor says, you can go under anesthesia and not feel anything, or you can just feel it all. Like obviously, I know I would pick, I don't want to feel anything. And I think that happens a lot with our emotions. And a lot of people can turn to food or alcohol or drugs or online shopping. There's so many different ways that you can numb instead of like process your feelings in a healthy way. So we talked about that a little bit last week. And then what I really wanted you to take away is like, this is a journey, and I want you to focus on progress, not perfection. I know I fall short still all the time, even though I'm a lot better than who I was, but it's really important that we practice self-forgiveness because nobody is perfect. All right, and that brings us to today's topic. I just wanted to talk about positive influences in our life, because this is like a prime example. We're all here, so clearly we all want to prioritize fitness and faith in our lives. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. We would be at a bar, or we'd be at McDonald's, or we would be not here, you know? So this is a really good positive step. So I'm proud of all of you for being here. I think that's the reason too why I really have loved Beachbody. It's called Body now. But when I go to their live events and just get to feel that energy, and like Shanti in person on stage, like just pouring all that energy into you, it's really hard to put that into words. But being there in that environment was just a life-changing experience, and it just, you know, kept me coming back for more and more. Anytime there's live events, I always try to go to them because I feel like it just recharges my soul. And the same can be said for going to church. If you find a church that you love and you love the people there and you vibe well, like that can be a really positive experience in your life as well. I put some Bible verses on there to kind of help us connect how faith and fitness come together. This one, Proverbs 13:20, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. 1 Corinthians 15:33, do not be misled, bad company corrupts good character. And Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So basically just reiterates your circle is really important, your environment is really important, so just try to be mindful of that. This is something that I feel like we have to talk about because it is a game changer for me. If I don't have accountability in my life, I will not do it. Like, don't even ask me about my skincare routine. It's awful. Like, I barely remember to wash my face every day. It's embarrassing, really, to admit that, but it's awful. But if somebody like called me and said like, hey, did you wash your face today? Did you use your moisturizer? Like, if they provided that kind of accountability, then I would be more likely to do it. So that is why I love this. I love the fitness community. I love like that we have an app. We have ways to hold ourselves accountable. We log our workouts, we get badges, like we have all these different milestones that we earn. And that, for me, that's really, really helpful. It helps me stay on track and it helps hold me accountable. And I like to be that accountability person for other people. So I like to be like the leader of the group. And you know, every week I go in and see how many workouts my clients logged, and that's really helpful to a lot of people just because they know like, oh, okay, she's actually watching. She's going to be checking to see that I worked out this week. So I think accountability is really important. And I know that like what I do with Beachbody and Now Body, that's not for everyone. Like some people are like, oh, I have to go to the gym to work out, or I like to run, or I like to go on a hike. That's fine. Like I'm not going to preach my Christian beliefs onto people who don't want that. I'm not going to say like, well, you have to do what I do. You do what works best for you. You just need to find people who want to do it with you and people who actually hold you accountable. Like if you have a neighbor, you could say like, hey, you want to go for a walk like twice a week? Like Katie and I have been doing that. But there's so many different ways, so many simple ways that you can put more accountability in your life and surround yourself with people who have the same values and the same goals as you. I'm done with that. We can move on. All right. This is kind of hard, and I get that. This is it. I challenge all of you to kind of just take a look at your current circle. And I'm not saying like, oh, you need to cut people out of your life. That's not at all what I'm saying. Like, you can still love people and pray for people. Maybe just like, you don't have to see them every single day. Or if you notice that they're like really draining you emotionally, or it's impacting your mental capacity or your health in any way, it might be time to like set healthy boundaries. But I think you can do it in a way that's kind and still, not going to offend anybody. I think it's important to ask ourselves about our current friendships in our life. Like, do we have friends that are helping us learn new things? Like, do you have a friend who like suggests an awesome book or a podcast or a Bible study? I heard you guys talking about that when you walked in. Like, those are good friendships to have. Like, people who are bringing good, positive, happy things into your life. That's fantastic. You need to surround yourself with people like that. And the same can be true for fitness. Like, if you want to make fitness a priority in your life, then it's really important to have friends who also prioritize that. At least that's what I've found. Okay, and then in addition to like taking a look at your circle, I think it's also important to be mindful of what we're consuming, like as far as TV shows on Netflix or whatever, social media, TikTok. I'll admit that for a while I was scrolling TikTok way too much, and it was like I wasn't even aware of how long I was doing it. It was like when I was living the single mom life in Morgantown for a while Sean was here in Petersburg, I would get the kids to bed and I would just be like, oh, finally, and I would just like scroll TikTok for like, I don't know, probably like at least 2 hours every night. And my For You page was just like really awful stories, like things like children getting kidnapped or women getting abducted. Like it was just all these negative, sad, awful stories. So then I would wake up the next day and I would do my workout and I would do my morning mindset journal. I was doing all of these things, but I still wasn't like feeling super positive. And I was like, what's going on? And then one morning I was listening to my personal development app, and Brendan Bouchard was talking exactly about this. He's like, what are you consuming? Like, and he gave the example of social media. And I was like, oh yeah, that's probably not a good idea to like scroll negative, sad stories for 2 hours every night. So I stopped doing that and I was happier. So you kind of just have to be really honest with yourself and aware of what you're doing on your phone, especially with social media, because I think, it's really easy to get into that comparison mode, and yeah, it's easy to get into that comparison mode. I know I catch myself doing it still, but that's people's highlight reel. Like most people aren't going to share their vulnerabilities. They're not going to share like, oh, I had a fight with my husband last night, or I, ate a whole box of donuts, or I drank a whole bottle of wine. Like people aren't posting that, they're posting like their accomplishments, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like people, it's fine. Everybody should post what they want to post, but what I don't like is when we see the highlight reel of other people and then it makes us feel bad about ourselves. So if that's happening, then that's when it's time, I think, to limit how much time you spend on social media. And if there's anything on there that you really don't like, if there's a person who you see the post and you're like, oh my gosh, that makes me feel terrible, you can always unfollow. Like if I ever post anything and you guys were like, oh, I hate that, I would encourage you to unfollow me, because that would never be my intention. I never want to make people feel bad about themselves in any way. So just wanted to put that out there. This is another one that's tough. Avoiding gossip, because I think it's human nature. Like I find myself guilty of it as well. You hear, especially in a small town, like you hear so-and-so is doing this and that, and you want to like, what, who did what? And I really, really try to not engage in those kind of situations. It still happens, like with my family or like with really, really close friends. It does still happen, but I try not to like, hone into that. Like I don't need all the dirty details. I don't need to know like all the specifics. I'm kind of like, okay, well, I'll pray for that person. That's unfortunate that they're going through that, but I just try to not make that be something that, that's my go-to thing for entertainment, because, in high school, that was what we did as friends. Like we would get together and you would gossip. That's just, we didn't really have, this was back before we even had social media. So we just had to talk to each other face to face. It's crazy time to live. But I tried to not go down that path anymore, even though it is hard. All right. And I just wanted to leave you guys with this final Bible verse, because it's one of my favorites. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And these are just a few takeaways that I want you to kind of like let sink into your brain. So first you're going to pray, then you're going to slay your workout, okay? So that's why I always do like my devotional every morning before I do my workout. I want you to bless and release anything that's not serving you in your life. And I know it's hard, and I don't expect it to happen overnight, baby steps, one day at a time, and keep going. And I want to share my favorite prayer with you guys, and then we will work out. All right, I can't even remember where this is from, but I heard it on my personal development app. If you guys want to bow your heads, you can. Whatever you feel comfortable with, but this is my favorite prayer ever. It's called the Peace Prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.